Hey guys, what's going on? Jorge and Amanda here from GamePlay.com, answering a couple of your questions that you have for us in this edition of Mailbag. I think the most common question we get, or at least question we get asked a lot, is what is our process when we review games? I know from personal experience, everyone kind of has their different kind of process and the kind of like review mode that they go into. I think what some people overlook, especially if you don't review games for a living, is when you review a game, you play it a little bit differently than you would when you play it for fun. When you're playing it and trying to like critiquing it and just, you're kind of looking for flaws and looking for things you wish were improved. My particular process, I like to sit down. I usually have some sort of notepad, or just if anything comes up to me, like if I have to remember characters' names or just significant events that go on in there, I'll just jot it down that way. But normally I try to play the game straight through from beginning to end. If there's multiplayer, I try to get some time with that also. But again, sometimes you review a game before it's launched and there's not that many people playing online, so I usually wait for that till the end, and before I talk about multiplayer or anything like that. But as far as like the structure of the review, you know, I just try to hit on anything I think people might find important, or at least anything people are interested about that particular game. So, you know, take a game like Batman Arkham City. People want to know, does the open world work? And that was stuff I was looking for as I was playing the game. And I was trying to see it through a perspective of if I would recommend this game to someone else, or how easy I can describe a game to a person. I try to play without reading other people's reviews before getting kind of like a biased opinion. So, because sometimes if you start reading and most of the reviews are overly negative, you're kind of set in that overly negative mindset. And you'll start seeing that it does kind of affect how you write it later on. And you start looking at things like, oh, that does suck. But I like going into it completely blind. I have like a total media blackout. So that's gonna be my plan when I review like Mass Effect 3. I don't wanna read anything about anything. I wanna sit there alone with my Mass Effect for like a week, and then I'll give you my thoughts and impressions. And a lot of people like to do that just because they don't wanna have their experience contaminated by like, ooh, the music was bad in this section. And you're like, fuck, this game had bad music. Everyone's a little bit different. Amanda's gonna magically appear on camera and tell you her process, so.
Hi guys, this is Amanda from GamePlay.com, and as George said, I magically appeared on screen to give you how I review games. Some similar processes to George. I do make kind of like a checklist of pros and cons, things that I want to remember, basically almost outlining my opinion on the game. And I try to play as much of the game as possible. However, for me, I tend to have conflicts with school sometimes, so I can't always give the game beginning to end. It just doesn't happen, at least not for as quickly as I want to get a review out to you guys. But I try to play as much as I can to feel like I grasp the important aspects of gameplay and some of the character development and such like that. After that fact, I actually like to go around and ask other people who I know may be playing the game to get their opinion. Just because my opinion's great, but I feel that it's better to pepper around other people's opinion just to see if they picked out something that they didn't like. Now, I might not agree with them, but I would include it in my review by saying something like, you know, some people may find such and such annoying, it didn't bother me, but it's an annoying aspect. And I think that's important because then you get a real like 360 view of what the game is like to other kinds of gamers. So for that reason, I tend to ask other people for their opinion, but I still have my very strong self-opinion, so it's okay. And that's basically my process for reviewing games.